I stood frozen in my own kitchen, staring at the phone screen that had just destroyed my entire world. The text message was still open. "Can't wait to feel you inside me again tonight, baby. Your wife is so clueless." But here's the twisted part that made my stomach turn. That message wasn't sent to my husband from some random woman. It was sent from my younger sister, Sarah. The same sister I'd raised after our parents died. The same sister who was living in my guest house. The same sister who sat at my dinner table every single night, looking me in the eyes while secretly sleeping with my husband. And what I did next? Let's just say they never saw it coming. But before I reveal my revenge, if you're here for raw, unfiltered true stories about family betrayal, toxic relationships, and the justice people truly deserve, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Because every single week, I bring you stories that will make your jaw drop, your heart race, and remind you that karma is very, very real. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next in this story. Now, let me take you back to where this nightmare actually began. My name is Rebecca, and 6 months ago, I genuinely believed I was living the dream life that every woman wanted. I had a successful career as a marketing director at a Fortune 500 company, pulling in 6 figures annually. My husband David was a commercial real estate developer who made even more than I did. We lived in a stunning 4-bedroom house in the suburbs, drove luxury cars, and from the outside, we looked like the couple who had everything figured out. We'd been married for 7 years. 7 years of what I thought was trust, partnership, and genuine love. David was, how do I even describe him? Tall, classically handsome, with that confident smile that made investors trust him with millions of dollars. He was charming at dinner parties, remembered my parents' death anniversaries, and still bought me flowers randomly on Tuesday afternoons. Everyone called us relationship goals. But you know what they say about things that look too perfect, right? Let me tell you about my sister, Sarah. She's 5 years younger than me. I'm 32, she's 27. When our parents died in a car accident 9 years ago, Sarah was barely 18 and completely lost. I was her only family. So naturally, I stepped up. I helped pay for her college education. I gave her a place to stay during summer breaks. When she graduated and struggled to find stable work as a freelance graphic designer, I convinced David to let her move into our guest house, rent-free. "She's family," I told him. "She needs us right now." David agreed so easily. He was always so supportive of my relationship with Sarah, so understanding, so generous with his time helping her fix things around the guest house, having long conversations with her about her career struggles, making her laugh when she felt down. I thought he was being a good brother-in-law. God, I was so stupid. Sarah would come to our main house almost every evening for dinner. The 3 of us would sit around our dining table, talking about our days, watching movies together, planning weekend trips. She became part of our daily routine. I loved having her close. After losing our parents, having Sarah nearby made me feel like I still had a real family, like I wasn't alone. I trusted her with everything, with my home, with my secrets, with my marriage. That trust, that was my biggest mistake. It was a regular Wednesday morning, 3 months ago. Nothing felt unusual or off. David had already left for an early meeting, and I was rushing around getting ready for work. That's when I realized I'd forgotten my phone charger in David's car. He always left his backup key on the kitchen counter, so I grabbed it and went out to his black Mercedes in the driveway. I opened the passenger door, spotted my charger in the center console, and reached for it. But as I pulled it out, something else fell onto the floor. A phone. Not David's primary phone, he had that with him. This was a different one, an older iPhone with a cracked screen and a plain black case. My first thought was that maybe he'd found someone's lost phone, but something felt wrong, that nagging instinct we ignore until it's too late. I picked it up, the screen lit up without needing a passcode. He'd left it unlocked. And there they were, message after message after message. From Sarah to David, saved under the contact name S. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through them. At first, I couldn't process what I was reading. My brain literally refused to accept it. Last night was incredible. I can still feel you inside me. I need you inside me again tonight, baby. Your wife is so clueless. When is Rebecca working late next? We have to be more careful. Almost got caught when she came home early yesterday. Do you think about leaving her for me? I dream about it every night. The messages went back months, maybe even over a year. Photos, explicit photos of my sister. Videos of them together in what I immediately recognized as our guest house bedroom. My guest house, on the property I paid for. There were messages about their dates when I thought David was working late, details about how they'd have sex in our marital bed when I went on business trips, conversations about me, about how I was cold, how I was always working, how I didn't understand David like Sarah did. David responding, "She's so busy trying to save everyone, she forgot to save herself." I threw up right there in the passenger seat of his expensive car. I physically threw up. When I finally pulled myself together enough to think clearly, I realized something crucial. They didn't know I knew. They had no idea this phone had been discovered. And that's when the old Rebecca, the one who would have confronted them immediately, screaming and crying, died. A new Rebecca was born in that car, a colder one, a strategic one who understood that revenge is a dish best served with meticulous planning. I didn't confront them that day, or the next day, or even that week. Instead, I went into full investigation mode. I became a detective in my own life, and what I discovered made my initial discovery look like child's play. First, I carefully returned David's secret phone exactly where I'd found it, making sure everything looked undisturbed. Then I went to work like nothing had happened. I smiled at colleagues. I led my afternoon meeting. I came home and had dinner with David and Sarah, watching them smile at me across the table, while my heart turned to ice. That night, after David fell asleep, I began my research. I installed monitoring software on our home computer that David didn't know about. I checked our bank statements and credit card records going back 2 years. I hired a private investigator, a discreet professional who was highly recommended for meritorial investigations. What I found was so much worse than I had imagined. The affair had been going on for almost 18 months. It started just 4 months after Sarah moved into our guest house. My private investigator provided me with photos and timestamps of them together at hotels, restaurants in the next town over, even a weekend trip to a beach resort that David had told me was a work conference. The financial records revealed that David had been spending thousands of dollars on Sarah, designer handbags, jewelry, expensive dinners, a weekend spa package, all charged to a credit card I didn't regularly monitor because it was supposed to be exclusively for his business expenses. But here's where it got truly diabolical. I discovered that David had been planning to divorce me. He'd consulted with a divorce attorney 6 weeks before I found his phone. The private investigator obtained records showing he was strategizing how to hide assets, how to make it look like our marriage had naturally run its course, and how to minimize his financial obligations to me. He was going to blindside me, take half of everything we'd built together, probably continue his relationship with Sarah openly, and leave me destroyed. The consultation notes from his attorney even included this line: "Client wants to ensure wife doesn't discover relationship with her sister until after divorce proceedings begin to avoid complications."
Complications. That's what I was to them. A complication. Sarah, meanwhile, had been posting cryptic messages on her private Instagram account, one I didn't follow but my investigator accessed. Things like, "Sometimes the right person is closer than you think," with photos taken clearly in our neighborhood. Patience is hard when you know what you want, with a photo of a hand, David's hand, I recognized his watch, holding hers. She was documenting their affair like it was some romantic love story, like she was the heroine and I was just the obstacle in her way. I spent 3 weeks gathering evidence. Every text message, every photo, every financial record, every witness statement from the investigator, every piece of their betrayal carefully documented and organized. I also did something else, something crucial. I consulted with my own attorney, the best divorce lawyer in our state, someone David's attorney would never anticipate me being able to afford. I paid her an enormous retainer, using money from an inheritance account David didn't know about. Together, we built an airtight strategy. She helped me understand my rights, how to protect my assets, and most importantly, how to ensure that when this bomb dropped, I would be standing on solid ground while they drowned in the fallout. During all of this, I continued playing the perfect oblivious wife. I smiled. I laughed at David's jokes. I hugged Sarah and told her I loved her. I asked about their days and pretended to care about their answers. Every single day was an Oscar-worthy performance, and they had absolutely no idea what was coming. Now, I could have simply filed for divorce, presented my evidence, and walked away with my fair share. That would have been the mature, dignified approach. But where's the justice in that? Where's the accountability for the pain they caused, for the mockery they made of my trust? No, they needed to feel exactly what they'd made me feel: exposed, humiliated, destroyed in front of everyone who mattered. So I planned something bigger, something that would burn their lives to the ground just as thoroughly as they'd burned mine. First, I organized what I called a family celebration dinner. I told David and Sarah that I wanted to celebrate some recent big wins at work, and also Sarah's birthday, which was coming up in 2 weeks. I suggested we make it special, invite some of our closest friends and family members. David loved the idea. "That's so thoughtful, babe," he said, kissing my forehead. "You're always thinking of others." Sarah actually teared up. "You're the best sister anyone could ask for," she whispered, hugging me. I wanted to vomit, but instead I smiled and started planning. I sent invitations to 20 carefully selected people: David's parents and his younger brother, David's 3 closest friends from college and their wives, my 2 best friends from work who knew our marriage well, Sarah's 2 best friends from her college years, our neighbors who'd become close friends over the years, and 3 strategic additions: David's business partner, his divorce attorney under the pretense of being a family friend, and my boss from work. Everyone accepted. They were all excited to celebrate with us. I rented a private room at an upscale restaurant. I ordered an expensive menu. I arranged for a photographer, telling everyone I wanted to capture memories of this special family evening. I even created a custom playlist for the dinner and prepared a special presentation that I told everyone would be a surprise tribute to both David and Sarah. David and Sarah thought I was just being my usual overachieving, generous self. In reality, I was building their public execution. 3 days before the dinner, I made sure to install one final piece of my plan. I told David I wanted to upgrade our home security system. I convinced him we needed cameras throughout the house for safety reasons, especially with recent break-ins in our neighborhood. He agreed immediately. Why wouldn't he? He thought I was clueless. I had the security company install cameras not just in the main house, but also, at my insistence, in the guest house common areas, since it's still our property. Sarah didn't object either. She had no idea those cameras had audio and were feeding directly to a cloud storage that only I could access. Over the next 2 days, those cameras captured everything. Every kiss they shared thinking they were alone, every intimate conversation about their plans, every disparaging comment about me. On the day before the dinner, I captured the crown jewel, a full conversation between them in the guest house, where David told Sarah, just one more week. I'm filing the divorce papers on Monday. My lawyer says it's the perfect time. David has no idea, and by the time she realizes what's happening, it'll be too late for her to protect herself. Sarah responded, I can't wait to finally be with you openly. No more sneaking around. And honestly, I'll be glad when she's out of our lives. She's so exhausting with her need to control everything. They both laughed. I had it all on video. Perfect audio, perfect video, perfect evidence. The night before the dinner, I didn't sleep. Not because I was nervous, but because I was excited. I felt alive for the first time in 3 months. I spent those quiet hours preparing the final version of my presentation, a carefully edited video compilation set to music that told the complete story of their affair, with timestamps, messages, photos, and those security camera clips. It was devastating. It was undeniable. It was perfect. I titled it, A Love Story, David and Sarah. When I finally went to bed at 4 a.m., I slept like a baby. The dinner started beautifully. Everyone arrived dressed elegantly, smiling, excited to celebrate. The private room at the restaurant was perfect, intimate, sophisticated, with a large screen for presentations set up at the front. David wore his best suit. Sarah wore a stunning red dress that I'd actually helped her pick out the week before. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had cocktails, we laughed, we ate an incredible meal. David's parents told stories about his childhood. Sarah's friends talked about her college adventures. Everyone was relaxed, happy, completely unsuspecting. I played my role flawlessly, the loving wife, the caring sister, the grateful friend. After dessert was served, I stood up and tapped my glass to get everyone's attention. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. This evening is very special to me, and I'm so grateful to share it with the people we love most. Everyone smiled. David reached over and squeezed my hand. I didn't pull away. As you all know, family means everything to me. Especially after losing my parents, the bonds I have with the family I've chosen and the family I was born with are sacred to me. Sarah had tears in her eyes. Actual tears. I've prepared a special video presentation that showcases the beautiful relationship they've built together, a relationship that has truly been happening right under my nose. A few people chuckled, thinking I was making a joke about how close they'd become as family. So please, everyone, turn your attention to the screen. I promise you'll never forget what you're about to see. I pressed play on my laptop and the room went dark, except for the glow of the screen. The video started innocently. Photos of David and me on our wedding day, photos of Sarah and me as kids. Sweet piano music played in the background. Then the music changed. Darker, more ominous. The text appeared on screen. But some love stories aren't what they seem. The first text message appeared. Full screen, crystal clear. Sarah to David, I need you inside me again. When is Rebecca working late next? The room went completely silent. I heard someone gasp. Then came the photos, the explicit messages, the security camera footage of them kissing in our kitchen, the video of David telling Sarah about his divorce plans, the bank statements showing his spending on her. All of it. Every piece of evidence I'd collected, displayed in high definition for every single person in that room to witness. The video was 12 minutes long, 12 minutes of undeniable, devastating proof. David jumped up after the first 30 seconds, trying to reach my laptop. Turn it off right now. But I'd locked the laptop and disabled all controls. The video was going to play in full, no matter what. Sarah was frozen in her chair, her face completely white, tears streaming down her cheeks. David's mother started crying. David's father looked like he wanted to kill his own son. Sarah's friends had their hands over their mouths in shock. My boss looked at me with something like respect mixed with horror. David's business partner stood up and walked out halfway through, but not before I heard him mutter, I'm done with this partnership. The divorce attorney who'd consulted with David watched with professional detachment, probably realizing his client was about to lose everything. When the video finally ended, the silence in that room was deafening. I stood up calmly and addressed our audience one final time. David has already been served with divorce papers. They were delivered to his office this morning by my attorney. Sarah, you have 48 hours to remove all your belongings from my guest house on my property, or they will be placed on the curb for trash collection.
I turned specifically to David. Everything you've hidden, every asset you thought I didn't know about, every strategy your attorney planned, I know all of it. My attorney is better than yours. You will get nothing beyond what the law forces me to give you. And trust me, after this evidence is submitted to the court, that won't be much. Then I looked at Sarah. You wanted the family you never had? Congratulations! You just destroyed the only family you had left. I picked up my purse, grabbed my coat, and walked toward the door. Before I left, I turned back one final time. Oh, and one more thing. That photographer I hired, she wasn't just for happy memories. She's been documenting your reactions tonight. Smile. The flash went off, capturing their devastated faces. And then I walked out of that restaurant with my head held high, leaving behind the wreckage of their lives. The fallout was even more spectacular than I'd anticipated. David's parents disowned him. His mother actually called me the next day, sobbing, apologizing for her son's behavior, and telling me I deserved so much better. His father stopped speaking to him entirely. David's business partner dissolved their partnership within a week, citing irreparable breach of trust and moral character concerns. David lost several major clients who'd heard about the dinner through mutual connections. His reputation in the commercial real estate community was destroyed. People talk, especially in professional circles. The divorce proceeded exactly as my attorney had predicted. The judge was not sympathetic to David after reviewing the evidence of his affair, his attempted asset hiding, and his strategic planning to blindside me. I kept the house. I kept my retirement accounts. I got a favorable settlement that my attorney called one of the best outcomes she'd seen in years. David had to liquidate investments to pay me what he owed. He had to move into a small apartment. Last I heard, he's struggling financially and professionally. Several former colleagues refuse to work with him. And Sarah? Oh, Sarah's story is perhaps the most satisfying. Her two best friends who attended that dinner cut her off completely. They actually reached out to me separately, apologizing for not seeing the signs and offering their support. They told me that Sarah had always been jealous of me, always competed with me, and they weren't entirely surprised by her betrayal, just disgusted by the extent of it. Sarah tried to continue her relationship with David after our divorce was finalized. Turns out, when you're not the forbidden fruit anymore and the man you're with is broke and humiliated, the relationship isn't quite so exciting. They lasted 3 months before David dumped her. He actually blamed her for ruining his life and told her she was too much drama. The absolute irony. Sarah tried to reach out to me multiple times. Texts, emails, letters, even showing up at my house once begging for forgiveness. I never responded, not once. She doesn't deserve my anger. She doesn't deserve my words. She deserves exactly what I'm giving her. Nothing. Complete erasure from my life. The last I heard through mutual acquaintances, Sarah moved to a different state. She couldn't handle living in the same town where everyone knew what she'd done. She's apparently working retail jobs because her freelance design career never took off, and now, with her reputation destroyed, clients are even harder to find. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. I got a promotion at work 3 months after the divorce. My boss was so impressed with how I'd handled the situation with dignity and strength that she fast-tracked my advancement. I'm now a senior director with a significant salary increase. I sold the house that held too many painful memories and bought a beautiful condo downtown with a stunning view. I redecorated with my own style, not compromising with anyone else's preferences. I've been dating, casually, on my own terms. I'm in no rush to remarry. I'm actually enjoying being independent, making decisions solely for myself, traveling when I want, spending money how I choose.
I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during my marriage. I started taking salsa dancing classes. I adopted a rescue dog named Luna, who brings me more joy than David ever did. I'm happy, genuinely, deeply happy, in a way I don't think I was even during my perfect marriage. Because here's what I learned through all of this. Sometimes the life you think you want is actually a prison you don't recognize until someone breaks you out of it, even if their method is betrayal. David and Sarah didn't destroy me. They freed me from a life that was never as perfect as it seemed. They freed me from relationships built on lies. They freed me from wasting more years with people who didn't value me. Did they deserve what happened to them? Absolutely. Do I regret how I handled it? Not for a single second. Some people might say I went too far, that public humiliation was cruel, that I should have taken the high road. But you know what? The high road is often just another way of saying let people who hurt you get away with it. I don't believe in being a doormat. I don't believe in suffering in silence. And I don't believe that betrayers deserve protection from the consequences of their own actions. David and Sarah made their choices. They laughed about me. They planned to destroy me financially and emotionally. They deserved to face every single person they'd deceived and own what they'd done. That wasn't cruelty. That was justice. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, I want you to know you don't have to forgive them. You don't have to take the high road. You don't have to protect their reputation while they destroy your life. You have every right to expose the truth. You have every right to protect yourself. You have every right to demand consequences. And most importantly, you have the right to walk away and build a life so incredible that their betrayers spend the rest of their lives regretting what they lost. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you hope or validation or just pure satisfaction, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. Every single week, I share real stories about betrayal, revenge, toxic families, and the sweet taste of justice. Don't miss the next one, because trust me, they only get better from here. Drop a comment below telling me, Team Rebecca, or do you think I went too far? And if you've experienced betrayal, how did you handle it? Let's talk about it. Most importantly, remember this. You are not defined by how people treat you. You are defined by how you refuse to let their treatment destroy you. I'm living proof that the best revenge isn't just success. It's becoming so genuinely happy that their betrayal becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go build a life they'll regret losing.